are listening to Talking Hoosier Baseball,
a podcast
by fans from the IUBase.com website.
For anyone wanting more information on the Indiana University baseball program.
To see my baby in her
Welcome. We are recording this on Monday, February 3rd, 2020. I'm Casty Palmer, joined by Master of the RPI, Carl James, the Countdown to Baseball social media master, Chris Feeney, the creator of IUBase.com, Josh Bennett, and a very special guest to kick off our third season, Matt Gorski. It's only 11 days until the Hoosiers open up the season at Alex Box Stadium against LSU. Talking Hoosier Baseball will be there, and the anticipation is huge. But for now, we have a special opportunity to speak with the leader of Indiana's 2019 Big Ten Championship team. Matt, welcome to Talking Hoosier Baseball.
Thank you for having me.
So Matt was selected by the Pittsburgh Pirates in the second round of the Major League Baseball amateur draft this past summer. Matt wore number 7 for the Hoosiers for 3 years. In that time, he was all freshman, first team and second team all Big Ten, and a 2-time academic all Big Ten member. He was named to the ABCA first team all Mid-East region his sophomore year. In high school, he was a first team all-state in Indiana for soccer and second team all-state and an all-star for baseball. In his first season as a professional, Matt played for the short season West Virginia Black Bears, played in 49 games, registering 40 hits, 14 of them for extra bases. He also stole 11 bases and drove in 22 runs. During his time as a Hoosier, Matt played in 165 games and had a .306 career batting average with a high of .356 his sophomore year. He helped lead the Hoosiers to the team record for home runs in a season, which was good for second best in all of NCAA baseball last year by belting 12 homers. While his power increased in his final season, his patience at the plate improved as well, with his walk rate almost doubling his junior year. Matt was also a master on the base paths, where he stole 57 bases in his career and led the team in the category in all 3 years he played. Fielding was also a strong point, as Matt committed just 2 errors as a Hoosier, both of them his freshman year. That's good for a .997 fielding percentage. So our first question from the panel today comes from Josh.
Yeah, thanks, Cass, and thanks, Matt, for coming and doing this for us. We really appreciate your time. We've all seen videos of big sport draftees surrounded by family and friends as their name is called in the early rounds of a draft. It didn't quite work out that way for you. Can you tell us about that moment you found out you were going on day one to the Pirates organization?
Yeah, it was a little bit different for me. I was sitting in my apartment alone, packing up my stuff to go home and watch the draft the second day with my family. I got a call from the Pirates scout about like the 40th pick. He's just like checking in, like asking how things are doing. And I started to freak out a little bit. I didn't know really what that meant. I asked my advisor at the time, my agent now, Tom Hagen, and I was like, hey, like, does this mean anything? He's like, no, like that's a very normal thing to happen on draft day. And then he called me back probably 10 picks later. Oh my gosh.
That's great. They turned the lights on him.
Turned the lights off on me. All right, they're back on now. All right. They called me back about 10 picks later, and my agent called me, and he was like, hey, like, this really meant something. Like, this is the dollar amount they're going to give you. This is the pick they're going to pick you. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, this is perfect. So then I waited there. I was actually waiting for my summer ball teammate my sophomore year. His name was Aaron Chunk from Georgia. I was waiting to hear his name called because I knew he was a high draft pick. And I was watching, and the 57th pick came up, and it like went in slow motion. He read off my name, and I mean, the first phone call that I received when my name was called was actually Coach Lamonis, which was super nice of him, like super considerate, like awesome guy. And then after that came my mom crying and my dad calling and everybody else. But yeah, it was a really cool moment, and it was one I got to just share with myself, but I celebrated with others later.
Well, I'm sure you're still glad it happened either way. It didn't matter what day, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what happened. It was an incredible moment.
Good deal. Again, like Josh said, thanks for sharing your time with us. I know you're real busy. Something we wanted to talk about, a lot of people these days are doing that, focusing on one sport type of thing, and it's baseball all year round, but we know you didn't do that. I remember looking up some of your soccer stuff, and you were high accolade as far as soccer goes too, and we've seen you dunk a basketball, so I'm sure you played a little hoops, and you're from Indiana, so what made you choose baseball, growing up as a youth sports? Why baseball?
I don't know. It was something my dad actually never got to do because his eyes were so bad. He couldn't ever see a baseball coming toward him. And he was lucky enough to be 6'8", so he got to play basketball in college. So he was lucky to do that. But I loved playing soccer. I loved playing baseball. I loved playing basketball. I used to swim when I was super young, and just kind of all around. I loved doing everything. I loved staying busy. And I still love playing soccer like I did in high school. Actually, some of the time in the winter, the IU women's team would invite me and Scotty Bradley to go play with them. So we'd play a little pickup soccer with them. It's a lot of fun.
The elite players in college baseball are selected to play in the Cape Cod League, and you were one of those. What was that summer experience like, and what did you take away from that?
It was definitely a new experience for me. I was blessed to be able to go with Cal Kruger, who had already been there the year before to the same team. So he kind of knew the way of like the way that they traveled and like the coaches and stuff. So it was nice to have that comforting feeling going into it. But I thought it was a really important thing for me to go to because it was really the first time I had faced a lot of adversity in the game. Like the first couple months I was there, I really struggled at the plate, and you see everybody else around you who's really talented, and the guys that got called in the first round last year were playing against me. So it was definitely an experience I needed, and I got a lot out of it.
So Matt, thinking back to your freshman year, what Hoosier teammate did you learn the most from that year?
Ooh, that's interesting. I'd probably have to say Austin Cangelosi. I came in not being a first baseman, and then they kind of just threw me over there, and he really taught me a ton about like a work ethic and how to go day by day, because he'd been a starter for 3 years. He knew what he was doing. So I really leaned on him to show me the ropes a little bit. Another guy, Craig Dietl, was really good at it. Tony Butler was really good at it. Logan Sowers was really good at it. So I'd say probably those main four were the people I leaned on the most.
So Matt, the IU team banquet has a tradition that allows each senior to give a ball to an underclassman with a word of wisdom. Since you were drafted as a junior, you didn't get that opportunity. So if you had that opportunity, who would you have gifted the ball to, and what would you have said?
I would have gifted the ball to my parents, like most people do. I've had incredible support from them throughout my entire life at IU and when I was younger. I still remember the first game that my mom ever went to. It was in Cincinnati my freshman year, and if you guys remember that at all, it was probably 20 degrees and sleeting sideways, and I wasn't even playing at the time, so she really supported me in different ways by coming to games like that. And my dad was incredible coming to a lot of games, and I would always look up in the right above our dugout in the corner. He'd be sitting there with his thermal blanket and all by himself watching the game, and there'd be 10 people in the stands. It'd be you guys and him pretty much. So it was awesome.
Oh no.
And even my grandparents coming down to the Texas Regional drove down with my dad and my stepmom, and that was unbelievable support by them. So probably my parents would get the ball, but my whole family has really supported me throughout the years, and it's been the reason I got to where I am today.
Now, as far as support, obviously they've been watching you grow up through the high school games and everything. We heard a story. Maybe you could confirm it, and then if it is true, maybe let us know how in the world this felt. You hit 2 grand slams in one game as a high schooler?
I did. I actually forgot about it until he sent the question. I was like, oh wow, I guess I did do that. I forgot about that a little bit.
Wow. I hope he was there. I hope you had somebody,
Yeah.
some family in attendance.
Yeah, I had some family in attendance. I think the biggest thing I took away from that game was, so in like the fifth inning is when I hit my first one, fifth or sixth inning when I hit my first one. And then I came up the next inning, we like batted around in that one inning, and then came up the next inning in the same situation. I was like, this is a grand slam or bust situation. Like I'm either going to hit a home run or I'm going to roll over or something. Like I'm going to swing for the fences. And I ended up hitting another one the next inning. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then another thing I remember from that game was I was really upset at the end of the game because I was in the bullpen about to make a pitching appearance, and we run ruled them in that inning. So I ended up not being able to.
You would have got to pitch.
So, I know, that's why I loved pitching when I was younger. So
that would have been like we wanted Milto to hit. You would have got to pitch.
Exactly, it would have been the same thing.
yeah.
Same thing.
Very cool. Thanks.
Yeah, cool.
So Matt, how is being a pro so far different than it was being a student athlete?
I'd say that the time commitment's definitely a little bit more as a pro. We're there at the field from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. and you get home after a meal, you get home at like midnight, go to bed, wake up at 10 a.m. and you leave to the field at 11 again. So it's like a whole day thing all the time. The travel on buses is obviously, you hear all the stories about 10-hour bus rides in the middle of the night, and that's true. Like you stop at a gas station at 3 a.m. and you have to try to find something like a little bite to eat. And you tried to sleep. I tried to sleep in the middle of the aisle this year was my thing to do. People are in hammocks, like setting up hammocks in the middle of the bus, trying to get some sleep. So that's definitely different. The meals aren't as good as they were here. We have awesome catered meals here. Playing every day it definitely takes a toll on your body, and you really have to recover after games. I feel like here, when you had 4 games a week max, you could really almost push that off a little bit toward the end of the season. But at the next level, you really have to take care of your body after every game.
So Matt, we all have memories of some of the special things you did while playing for the Hoosiers. Each one of us is going to talk about one, and then we'll ask you to kind of reflect on that moment. And I'm going to start. In the 2018 Big Ten tourney, the Hoosiers were on the brink of going 2 and out, down 3 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th to Michigan State. Nothing seems to be going quite right. And it's TD Ameritrade Park, infamous for scorched balls just harmlessly finding leather in the outfield, the pitcheriest of pitcher ballparks. You hit a monster 3-run shot to tie that game. Did you go up there thinking you might hit one out, kind of like you did with the Grand Slam in high school?
It was one of those moments again. It was either home run or bust for me there too. I was actually surprised they had a righty in their pen that they didn't bring in for me, and I had gotten curveballs that entire game that I'd missed, and I was like, I have to sit on a curveball here, and if I get one down the middle, I have to put everything I have into it, and that was my mentality going into it. It was a home run or bust moment for me.
So Matt, your freshman year at Victory Field in Indianapolis, the Hoosiers go out go into the 10th inning against Ball State. You're up in the 10th with 2 out and 2 on, and you get the RBI hit to walk that one off. So can you run us through that one?
Yeah, you guys are taking all my memories I was thinking of. That one was also another really cool moment for me because obviously growing up in Indiana, that's where they play the state championship game, and I had never gotten the opportunity to play there. So that was a really special moment for me. It really started with Laren Eustace getting on. I remember him stealing second base, and then Logan Sowers in front of me. They intentionally walked him to get to me. So that whenever a team does that to get to you, you kind of get that fiery feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, you think you can get me out before you can get the guy in front of me out. So it was another one of those, like, I knew that they'd been throwing me off speed the entire night, and the dude hung me a breaking ball, and I hit it through the first base side, and then the right fielder bobbled it. And when he did that, I knew we had won the game. So it was a really cool moment.
Now, for me, the one that we have on the paper, you know, is one I picked. But I got to tell you, whether it was defense, whether it was you making crazy catches in the outfield, I mean, there was all kinds of highlights that you've given us. The one, did you realize how high that scoreboard even was? That was insanity. Had you even done that in batting practice, hitting a grand slam over that big scoreboard?
I think I had. I think I hit the Indiana Hoosiers on top of it maybe one time before that, but in batting practice. But I had never hit it over before.
Cole Barr hit it today, about 3/4 of the way up, and it just seemed like such a monster BP home run. And you hit it off Mercer or whatever. And then it got me thinking of that night with you. That thing cleared it. That was crazy. Yeah. And
I still remember the pitch and the everything. It said 86 on the board when I looked up, the 86 mile an hour fastball, and it couldn't be more center cut, and it was a really cool feeling.
It was great to watch, and the broadcast lost it. They lost it. We went to look on the TV. They're just looking at the score, but I'm like, nah, fellas, that went higher than that. Well, thanks for the moments, man. Great stuff.
Yep. Well, we've heard here about a couple of the home runs that you absolutely crushed. Now, I'm going to ask about the shortest home run you hit as a Hoosier. 2018, Alexander Field in West Lafayette, line drive up the middle, gets past the center fielder for what looks like a triple. When you decide to go home. Now, when you decided to go home, let us know. Was that before or after Coach Cheese put up the stop sign?
I think it was well before he put up the stop sign. I was rounding second base, so I was like, I think this is my time to go for it. I don't know if I'll ever have this opportunity again. But I knew they had a freshman second baseman playing. I knew he didn't have a great arm. And Coach Lamonis before that inning told us to be more aggressive at the plate, told us to be more aggressive in the field. So he told us to be more aggressive. I got to do what I got to do. So, yeah.
So, Matt, those were some of our favorite memories. What's a special memory that you have of your time as an Indiana Hoosier?
I have an interesting one that Cal Kruger and I shared together. We were roommates our freshman year. We always roomed on the road together. And there was a time that we played at Purdue freshman year. It was in the middle of the season. It was on Friday night. I think I committed one of my 2 errors as a Hoosier that day. And Cal came in and didn't throw very many strikes and got hit around a little bit. And we're sitting in the hotel room that night. Like you could hear a pin drop, and we're always talking to each other. And we get a text from Coach Lamonis that says, "Can you come and meet me in my room?" And we look at each other and we're like, "Oh no!" Like, here we go. So we go up to his room together, and he sits us down on his couch that he has in his room. And there were some very choice words said that I don't know if I can repeat on this video, but I just remember us leaving that meeting, and we looked at each other. We just started laughing because we knew it was just one of those fluke days, and it was just one of those things that we were always gonna remember about.
So, Matt, what other memories did you have that you might want to share with us tonight?
Another one that I have is my sophomore year going to the regional in Texas. We were down a run with, I think Luke Miller was on first base, and I hit a 2-2 breaking ball from a righty, and it bounced over the fence in left field that if it would have hit the wall, we would have had the game tying run. And then Logan Towers came up next and dribbled the ball to the third baseman, and I'd never seen somebody make such a good play at third base to get him out at first, and we would have scored at least Luke. And I was rounding third, going to score probably 2 if he didn't get him out. So that was another unfortunate story that I had to share. And just kind of some off the field stuff, like meeting some of my best friends and my roommates, Pat Leffler, Brad Busall, Jeremy Houston, Matt Petrosino, Cal Kruger, all of them. They've really meant the world to me. We've taken vacations together. We went on a cruise together a couple weeks ago. I just spent the weekend in Nashville with Pat and Petro. So just dudes like that you get to meet through college sports, the relationships you build are just unbelievable.
I saw Petro met up with you in Brooklyn last year, right?
Yeah, he did come to Brooklyn. He saw both me and Timmy. He saw Timmy a week before I went up there. So, yeah.
Not that far of a trip for him, I guess, huh?
No, and yeah, he had a little train ride there, probably 30 minutes. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
How'd you like playing in Brooklyn?
It was really cool. Obviously Coney Island behind there, and then we got to play against. I talked to Jake Magnum about Coach Lamonis when I was there, so that was pretty cool too.
Yeah. So Matt, spring training starts in a few weeks. Where are you going, and what are your goals for your first full season as a professional?
So I go down to Bradenton, Florida. I report on the 26th is my report date. I don't know if I'll start in low A or high A, or low A's in Greensboro, North Carolina, and high A's in Bradenton. So we'll see where I end up. My goals are really just to get better every day and just to have a lot of fun. Like people always say, like if you're not having fun, you're not going to enjoy it. Playing baseball like that for 150 days and 150 games, it can get really repetitive and kind of boring, to be honest. So you just got to have a lot of fun, and you got to try to get better every day. And I hope to just build a lot of relationships around the organization and with teammates and even people in the league that you played against previously in college or in high school. You get to kind of hang out with a little bit on road trips. So I hope to succeed as a team and as an organization, and we'll see where we end up at the end of the year.
Well, that'll do it for this edition of Talking Hoosier Baseball. We really want to thank Matt for taking time with us this evening. And so read up on Indiana baseball at iubase.com. Follow us on Twitter at CUAtTheBart and at IUBase17. Please leave us a review on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. For Carl James, Chris Feeney, Josh Bennett, and Matt Gorski, I'm Casty Palmer. See you at the Bart.
To see my baby.